All right, so at the end of the last video, I just brought into my assets a full stack of GIF animations. And you can see it like the film strip right here. This is the stage for this egg roll animation. It's just a black shape, but it shows the movements. And all I did was put it all into a folder, opened it in Photoshop, and then dragged that folder onto my assets file, which is here. And then that puts the folder right into my project. Now what's interesting is I have to find a layer that shows up. Here we go. So I turn one on. And now I'm going to move that whole, because it's not sized correctly, right? I'm going to move this whole folder, transform it. Oh, because it didn't have a background. I gotcha. And I want to move all of this over so that when it bumps on the side of my ship. So I'm just using my arrow keys. And this should be moving all of them over. And then I need to figure out what frames are actually helpful. So let's see. Let me do it this way. Let me look here. I'm going to open this up just in preview and see when is it that it actually hits. Boom. So that is frame 29. So I want to find number 29 in here. Good. And now I need to get that to show up. So it's happening over there. So now 29 is visible, but I got to move all of them together. And I have auto select turned off, so now I can just move, hopefully, everything together. There we go. So that's when it's going to hit. It hits right there. So I know I need that frame to match. Nope, not that one. I know I need this frame to match. There we go. And then this frame, 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 and then this frame. Maybe it's not 29. Because it should wobble. Because I liked that wobble. Yeah, it's 29. Am I wrong? Let's see. Hits, bounces off, and then all the way 67. Yeah, no, that will work. So I definitely want all these frames from 69 to, oh my God, do I want to do all that work? To 27. And then I need it rolling up to 27 or 29. So let's get that first. And this shows how difficult kind of movement animations are if you want them to be fluid. Because I need to wait until it's off frame. Okay, so now I can delete these other frames because they're not going to make it onto my format. Okay, so this is what you call a movement cycle. This is showing how the egg will roll and then hit. And I can do it step by step, but let me show you how I can guess at it first. So this is something that can help me. I'm going to set this at, let's see, what mode? There we go. At linear dodge. just that whole layer, but I'm going to turn it off for now. But it will show me where to start my egg. So I'm going to make a duplicate of my egg, and I'm going to hit Command T, and I'm going to get it to line up with this first example. So it tilts. This is why usually the very first animation you learn in animation class is a ball, because a ball is a lot easier to play with than an egg, right? You roll a ball, you bounce a ball, you do all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to line that up. This is the egg coming in. I will mark that blue because that will work. Now, if I don't have that template to kind of show me, let me just show you how I would do this movement cycle. Okay, I would duplicate the egg, Command J, then I would hit Command T, and I would keep in mind where it's touching. And I would actually move a guide to where it's touching the ground, because that's a point of contact. And then I'd move that egg to there, and then I would rotate it the other way and move that point to there where it's touching. So I'm going to make this really kind of clunky, and because it's uneven ground, it might even work pretty well. Then I'm going to duplicate that, Command J, and I'm going to find the next point it's touching and move a guide, like right there on its corner, and then move it to there, and then tilt it like this, right? Because it's rolling over and then hitting. So it'd actually be maybe there where it's touching, because it has momentum behind it. You guys with me so far? So I have 3 layers showing it roll in. Then I would duplicate it, and I'd say, okay, where do I want it to touch and pivot next? Maybe about right here. So I Command T on the duplicate, Command J, and I tilt it down so that it's touching there, and then move that forward. And so it's moving forward at a consistent rate, but tilting as it goes. But I am not a very gifted animator, so it's going to seem a little strange probably. So then I'm going to duplicate it again. I see that it's going to be touching here on its end. And so I start with the duplicate, rolling it onto its end, and pushing that forward. Hit return, Command J. Where is it going to hit now? It's closer. It's kind of teetering, and then tilt it, move it like so. And you'd think I'd be able to just copy all of those, except this egg is now upside down from that egg. So it doesn't work to just copy them all, right? Otherwise the egg would flip in the middle. So I need to keep going. Command J. I might just use this, but I'll show you the smarter way is to use the template. Is it will fall about there. Tilt it. So what you're seeing is each time I want to make a change with the egg, I make a duplicate of it first. Command J. And so you get this movement cycle of it. And that would be true for walking. That would be true for the mouth opening. So you've captured all the components, all the assets, all the way through. So now I'm at the point where it's going to rock and then hit the ship. So Command J, where does it touch? It's going to touch here. It's rolling up. T, right to there. And now it's going to hit the ship. So Command J, Oh, hit return, Command J. It's not going to be able to roll too much before it hits. Right there. Okay, now I'm going to turn my guides off, and you can see that full movement cycle. Now I've built assets for the first 3 frames all the way to the 4th frame when it hits, right? Because that's hitting then, I'm going to build an additional asset there. It's kind of cartoonish, which is fun. So we can play with those forms. And I'm just going to show a little impact blast by making a new layer, drawing some pixels with my lasso, and then just saying edit fill with white. Right? And then if I want them to be nicely outlined like a cartoon, I can double click on that layer and I can put a stroke around them. And I can play with the size of that stroke. So it's a 3 pixel stroke. Let's make it 2 pixels, 1 pixel. I'll do 2. All right. So this is the end of that movement. So I'm going to make those dark blue together. Now, how can I move those over to my stage to actually test if it works? Because the only way I could test it otherwise is to turn on and off these eyeballs. So it starts here. That's going to be my next frame. Then here, 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 then here. And I can see I've made some mistakes. Even in just doing that test, there's too much of a movement there. There's too much of a movement there. But it will be charming. So I'll show you how I can do it. And this will show the repetition and what animation is all about. And then I'll show you the right way to do it with my frames. Okay, so animation is a chore. That's why we get introduced to it this way. So this is my next frame. So I follow that workflow. And I go to my topmost visible layer, which is this egg. And then I say Option. In fact, here's a nice way to do it. Just always make a top empty layer. Just call it topmost. Because that will be empty, but it will always be turned on. Right? It's like a buffer. You can even lock it so you don't accidentally put something on it. And I'll mark it red. So I'm always going to click on that layer because it has to be a visible layer. Then I hold down Option and I say Layer Merge Visible. And then you'll see above that layer is the combined layer. Then I say Command A to select it all, Command C to copy it all, click on the stage, Command V to paste it in. Now I have 2 animation frames. Now I go back to my assets, I hit Command D to deselect and then delete, and I set up my next frame, which is this, and turn off this. Then I do the same thing. Option, Layer Merge Visible. Command A to select it all, Command C to copy it all. Go to my stage, Command V to paste it. I have my 3rd animation frame. Go back to the assets, Command D to deselect, delete, and set up the next frame. And then again, Option, Layer Merge Visible. It would be a 4-key shortcut otherwise, so I just go to Layer Merge Visible. Command A, Command C, Command V, Command D, delete. Set up the next frame. Option, Layer, Merge Visible. Command A, Command C, click on Stage, Command V. Now I have 5 animation frames. This. All of that looks pretty good. I think this next one is where it goes wrong. And that's, I still don't have a drop shadow. I'm still not moving the clouds or the atmosphere. I'm just doing a straightforward movement. Command D. Go to the next one. Set it up. Hold down Option, Layer, Merge Visible. Command A, Command C. Go to my stage. Command V. Turn them all on.